Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hey, Tom?
Yes, Dave.
I have a coin.
What sort of coin? It's like a commemorative coin or like a buffalo nickel or...
No, it's just one of them...
One of them flattened pennies that you can get.
No, it's a quarter.
At, like, shitty old malls. A quarter, you say?
I have a quarter on me.
A quarter? What do we... What's the occasion?
Well, I'm going to flip this quarter, and it's going to decide what movie we watched. Magically.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah. You want me to do this? You want me to flip this quarter?
I would love for you to flip that goddamn quarter, Dave.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
It's spinning.
Dave. Oh, is it... What's... The quarter's dancing? You made the quarter dance.
Tom, the quarter stopped.
Okay.
All right, let's start the intro music.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's not music. It's a sound.
It's like noise.
It's like noise. Start the intro noise.
Mm-hmm. Start the noise.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
I'm Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Titan AE.
Titan AE. Titan A.
Titan A.
Delicious.
Defense shields have been penetrated.
Enemy warships have entered Earth's solar system.
Deploy the last wave of fighters. Taking heavy fire!
Final warning. Prepare for thermal attack.
Evacuate! Evacuate! Launch remaining escape craft.
Oh, no.
Titan AE!
So, folks, this is a, this is a Thursday, which means...
we just watched Classic.
That's correct, which means one of our patrons...
We gotta get better at branding that to make the distinction going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Nolan Matten, who made us flip a coin to decide what movie to watch. Should we reveal what the other movie was?
No, let's save that.
Okay. We'll save that.
Because somebody else might request that movie in the future.
That's true. So we watched Titan AE. Tom, you had seen this movie once before?
I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, way back in the year 2000.
Yep.
The year 2000.
I've never seen it, nor did I know that this was a Don Bluth film.
It is Don Bluth's last film.
Yeah, I would have watched this centuries ago had I known that.
Had you realized, yeah. Now, Don Bluth is still alive at the time of this recording, so it's not that, you know, it's his last film because he died shortly thereafter. It's his last film because he's just not made another fucking film since this one came out.
And, you know, I think I know why.
Well, we can discuss it as we go through the episode. This is one of the movies I was planning on writing about in that book that I'm trying to do. So,
okay.
There's a very interesting story behind this movie.
Yeah, well, I would say the production of this, from what I watched the making of, and I read about it, it seemed a little soul crushing. The production of this
movie every aspect of production to this film was like extortion, mass firings,
Fox Animation Studios shut down before this movie was released, and it got no advertising for that reason.
Yeah, and they also laid off 300 animators in the process of making this. So, like, different sequences of the movie were animated by different studios, including Blue Sky animated one of the sequences.
What did they do? They did Ice Age, right?
Yeah, Ice Age and the Peanuts movie, and they're kind of like a viable studio on their own now. So
okay, I know some of the people who worked on episode 1 also did the animation, the CGI. That's the other thing. This movie kind of. It almost feels like it marks the end of an era because it's switching over to CG And I can see
it's blending the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Don Bluth seeing what happened to the animation studio, seeing how they've how animation is evolving, and being like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah, he's such a traditional 2D animator that it's like, I can see that, where it's like it just doesn't interest him to do
exactly. I don't think he was angry necessarily. I was watching behind the scenes, and he seemed he seemed kind of like intrigued by the CG, but it's probably not his thing.
Yeah, and he's still you can still see that sort of rotoscoping in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like this movie actually reminds me a little bit of like heavy metal and like Ralph Bakshi's shit.
It also had regular
also
matte
some
paintings.
shit.
Backgrounds were drawn. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of there were animated. Yeah, it was a blend of the two. Tom, how did you like this movie?
I think this movie is okay. I think it's mostly good. There's some plot weirdness in it. But I think like, and it's kind of like a trite, straightforward story, but I appreciate how fucking dark it is.
Yes.
And I have a thing for crummy space. Like I like when space is kind of shitty and sucks.
It reminded me a lot of Star Wars.
Star Wars and Firefly.
Yeah. It has that junk space feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shitty space.
Yeah, that is really delightful. I really enjoyed this movie. Mm-hmm. It was just like getting one more Don Bluth that I didn't know was a Don Bluth. Like that really did it for me. It definitely has some silliness or some.
Well, of course, it's still and that I think. I remember seeing this in the theater. That was the weirdest thing about this movie to me, is that it's pretty dark, but it also has silly characters that are for the kids, so it strikes this kind of uneven tone sometimes.
Yeah, there's like wacky aliens, and then also Bill Pullman breaks the neck of one of the aliens.
Breaks his fucking neck!
Just like Rambo grabs his fucking head and cracks it, and the alien goes limp.
And he throws his fucking dead-ass body down the stairs like a dead fish.
That was bonkers.
It was wild.
Yeah. Plot-wise, I would say this movie is basically The Land Before Time, but in space.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, and leave it to Don Bluth to blow up the entire planet. Mm-hmm. Like, what a Don Bluth thing to do in a kid's movie.
Yeah.
For people who haven't watched it, it starts with the destruction of Earth. They have a really casual conversation before they escape Earth.
Right.
Like, the kid's playing by the river, and the dad's like, "Oh, come along. We have to escape Earth."
Yeah, we have to escape Earth now because the dredge are coming.
Yeah.
Fucking blow the planet the Christ up.
They're like
in
driving
seconds.
they're driving to the ship, and they're like kind of joking with the kid.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can I drive?" And they're like, "Not until you're older." And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
I think he's trying to keep the kid calm, because as soon as they get to the ship, he's like, "All right, you got to take the kid. I'm going to a different place. I got to move the Titan," which is his secret project that we eventually learn has the ability to create a new planet. Not like terraform a new planet. Create a new planet.
Yeah, I have a question about that.
Oh, there's a lot of implications about that invention.
Yeah. Well, also, why didn't we just find a new planet? Is that really that hard?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to, like, the odds of finding a planet that's like Earth type and inhabitable that's not already inhabited, because you don't want to be like invaders.
Yeah, I guess
it's the most like pacifist way to find a new home for your
for sure.
It's gonna species.
Probably cause some problems to create a whole new planet.
It's gonna decimate that galaxy because it has its own gravitational pull. It's gonna fuck up the orbits of everything else that's around there.
Yeah,
you don't
know what kind of orbit you put yourself on either.
Exactly. Yeah, I have no idea. Like the days may last for like 7 days.
Right. It just sort of builds the planet where they find the ship. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "This seems as good as anywhere." It's like, wait, no, you should think this through first.
Yeah, I guess the implication is that the dad put it there specifically because he's like, this is where the planet has to be.
Right. They go down to that creepy bat planet, and it was like, just live here. Like, there's not that many of you. Like,
live in the shitty bat world with the hydrogen
there's
trees?
air. There's like air. They can.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It didn't seem that hard to find a planet. But yeah, I get it. They want their own planet. I get it. It just seems This seems more hard work, especially before they find Titan and they're just sort of like wandering through space. I don't know. Just go to Mars. I know Mars is tough, but you could. I mean, you could. I don't know. Terraform it.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. It just seemed like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's them escaping Earth, and then the kid is older and becomes Matt Damon. We should probably talk about the cast. This movie has Matt Damon, Bill Pullman, Drew Barrymore, Nathan Lane, Jim Brewer, Janine Garofalo, and John Leguizamo. Mm-hmm. That's a great fucking cast.
It's a hell of a cast.
Yeah. This is a cast I was like, I did not know these people ever worked together. And watching the making of, like, they were in the room together. They didn't record separately. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, I never knew I wanted to see Matt Damon next to Bill Pullman, but I do. It's delightful.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to record together.
Yeah.
Because most animated films don't do that.
There said there was a little improv, too. Mm-hmm. I can see that, you know. So, grown-up Matt Damon... What's his name? It's Kale.
Kale, yeah.
That's fucking weird.
He's a superfood.
Yeah, he is. He's like a space he's roughneck.
He's a scrapper.
He's a scrapper.
He cuts scrap metal off of derelict spaceships and sells it.
Right. And he oh yeah, it's the year. What year is it? It's like 3000 something.
3000 something, yeah.
Because I like how there's just casually aliens on Earth before it blows up.
Yeah, there sure are.
Yeah. So he works at a salvage yard, and he gets tracked down by Bill Pullman. It's Corso.
Yep.
And he reveals that the ring his dad gave him before his dad disappeared is a map to the Titan.
To the Titan. Here's an enormous question.
Okay.
If you were the scientist who had built this incredible miracle technology that can create a new world for the planet, and you knew you had to go hide it so that the evil aliens wouldn't find it, why would you entrust the only map to it, and the only key to open it to your 10-year-old son?
Because it's a kid's movie, I guess.
Why not give, because Corso apparently was like a soldier that worked with his dad. Why not give it to a guy like Corso? Why not give it to an adult? Why not make more than one? Why entrust the totality of the future of the human race to just your son specifically?
Without telling
what
him,
if he dies?
Maybe he thought, if I give it to an adult, they could be tortured for this information. And these bastards won't torture my son. It does paint a big target on him. That's for sure. Yeah.
I guess you know what? I guess he's being taken care of by that guy Tech, who's played by Tone Loc.
Right.
And Tech apparently calls Corso there.
Okay.
So I guess that kind of makes sense. He did have somebody that was watching him.
But also, what if the son, grows up to be a real scumbag and just gambles away the ring?
Right. What if he loses it?
Yeah, I guess it's like love for your kid. You trust him.
But that's dumb.
That is
the
dumb.
entire human race is at stake. I don't give a shit about your kid.
I'm trying to think of what I would do to that. I guess I would, give it to the other guy. But maybe he didn't like it.
I'd make a few copies.
Yeah, probably a few copies. That's for sure.
Maybe certainly not just one for my kid.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that what's his name? Bill Pullman turns out. In a hilarious scene, turns out, spoilers, to be the bad guy. He's just
he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He tries to redeem himself, but he did break the neck of that alien.
Well, that alien was evil.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's still an alien he was working with.
Right, yeah, it was his
double-crossed him.
Yeah.
Presumably if that alien didn't double-cross him, he would just continue being evil. And
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all right. They kill him. They do the redemption murder where he gets electrified to death.
Right,
he
completes a huge circuit.
Yeah, he does. His body will have exploded.
Oh, he's particles.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
The alien whose neck he breaks is Preed, who's played by Nathan Lane in a curious Nathan Lane role. I don't think he's ever played someone quite as villainous as this character, because
Yeah,
the character is immediately like lascivious and slimy.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah, when
like
I saw
he's
Nathan
like-
Lane was in it, I just assumed he was going to be like the fun comic relief character.
I think like Timon, and no, he's like this slimy alien that's like the first scene we see him in, he is like leering and making innuendos at Drew Barrymore and like tries to lick her hand.
Yeah, he's really into her right away, and she's just sort of casually like, "Oh, you," like she. I don't know. It seemed like that he was like clearly was like regularly hitting on her.
Right. He's just. It's funny because they don't reveal the twist until like the end of Act 2 that they're actually bad guys, but like his character is immediately unlikable. Yeah. Like he's just like, oh, this guy's gross.
Yeah. But going back to the dad, like Corso ends up basically making a deal with what their name, the Dredge.
The Dredge.
The bad guy aliens, the Dredge, and to blow up Titan, which is all the rest of humanity. He does it for
it has all this
He does it for money, and like so. In the end, the dad should not have given him that ring. But how would the dad possibly know? Because it's one of those things. Is like there's like nobody who you shouldn't trust, at least in terms of the motivations to try to save the human race. As long as they're a human, you would assume. So I would be giving those rings out like they're fucking Halloween candy. I'd be throwing them at everybody.
Yeah, but what if they get killed and the Dredge get the ring?
Oh, that's true.
You know.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I guess
it is real funny that he's like that, and I think that's the main plot problem I have with this movie is that when we first meet Matt Damon, he's not really interested because he's like, my dad just abandoned me, and I agree, it doesn't make sense that his dad abandoned him.
Yeah, well.
It really doesn't.
He didn't want to get his kid killed, so he.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Okay, they never explained how the dad died.
No, they don't. He's just dead.
Yeah. So he could have just been like choking himself while jerking off on the Titan.
Sure. Yeah.
Because
they could find a skeleton hanging from a doorknob by his belt.
There's no reason. Oh yeah, because they ran out of power. That's why he couldn't create the planet. Right.
Oh, yeah.
He flies the Titan. So if he had brought his kid, he would have eaten his kid before starving to death. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Don't let any parent tell you differently.
That's what I would have done.
That's why you have kids. Well, it's one of the reasons. Backup. It's backup.
Mm-hmm. Well, my point was that like Matt Damon's initially not interested. He's like, well, what's in it for me to go try to find this place? Like, there is no human race. What do I care? I'm just trying to get by. You know, like all the family I ever had abandoned me, and like he hasn't seen human beings in like 15 years. It seems. How
did that happen?
I don't know. He just Tone Loc took him to like a space station. He's just been working as a scrapper there. But then he changes his mind for kind of no reason.
Yeah, I think he wants to bang Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, and that's like the only reason we're given, because there's a scene after Corso turns on them, because Corso turns on them and gives them a different version of essentially the same speech that Matt Damon gave them. It's like, why, like, the human race is done. Like, what are we trying to do this for? There's like, what, 100 of us left, maybe, scattered across the galaxy? I'm trying to get paid. So, the scene after that is them going to, what was it, New Bangkok? That other space station, and then he sees like kids playing, and this little girl and this little boy are playing soccer, and she's like, yeah, he's playing soccer because my dad played soccer, and the reason they know that is because they have a photo of their dad, and like, you know, we're trying to keep humanity alive, and it's like this enclave of humans living in this space station, like trying to keep the memory of Earth alive. It feels like that scene should have happened before.
Yes, that should have been the...
Yeah, and that's what makes Matt Damon change his mind, because we're not really... He just sort of does. Like, we're never... It's not... They don't spend any time on it. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm the good guy now.
There's a lot of abrupt turns. I would say the villain reveal is hilarious, because...
It's very hilarious. He's just loudly talking on the phone.
He's just in... they're setting... They're going to New Bangkok, I think. They're on their way to get supplies. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking at the time code and being like, how is this going to get going soon, because it felt like we were nearing like third act stuff, and it was like, what is, how are we gonna move along, because they're just like stopping for supplies. This is boring. And then he just walks in on Bill Pullman just screaming his evil plan on the phone with the fucking Dredge.
On a FaceTime with the alien queen.
Yeah. It was like, well, Bill Pullman, do that somewhere private. It was like he just stopped giving a shit and was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's very silly.
Yeah, it's very abrupt and very silly.
Yeah, which, all in the service of getting it down to 90 minutes, I feel like.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then later on the space station, like after the double cross becomes a triple cross and like the Dredge show up, like Corso just shows up and he's like, you know what? You've convinced me that maybe we should give this a try. It's like, how have I convinced you?
I think what was the true thing was that he ran out of options. Because he was like, okay, I'm going to be executed probably for my crimes. Mm-hmm. It's still like, I that's the real motivation. He was like, I've had a change of heart. It's like, no, you haven't. No one's going to pay you, Corso, and you realize that now. He
does fall on a pretty massive grenade, though.
Yes, he does.
Like he climbs in the middle of that, like he completes a circuit with his fucking body.
Yeah. He becomes a conductor. Mm-hmm. It was, I liked all that stuff. I loved the fucking, the ice sequence.
The ice sequence was awesome. Like with the, like it's like a cat and mouse in the ice, and they're like, it was cool.
Instead of doing an elaborate, like fast-paced chase, they do this like strategic thing where they're quietly in this, there's like these ice asteroids that are all clinking against each other.
They're in the rings of a planet. So it's like huge chunks of ice that are, like the rings of Saturn.
Yeah, the sound designer, he went skiing and like just stepped on snow to make a lot of those sounds, according to the making of this movie.
It was good sound design in that sequence.
Very good, yeah. And so it's like kind of foggy, and they can only sense heat signatures, so they just keep like hovering in areas of the ice and like slowly moving through and using this highly reflective area to confuse the enemy into not knowing which ship is actually their ship or the reflection. It's it's a really cool sequence.
It's a cool idea. It's not for a chase in a movie like this, particularly like an animated movie that's supposed to be geared more for kids. It's like a weirdly slow paced, like run silent, run deep kind of like sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. What do you think of the Dredge themselves?
They were, they felt a little out of place.
I, for a while, couldn't tell if they had used stop motion animation or CGI in a lot of this. Mm-hmm. I looked it up and they had scanned physical models, which explains it a bit.
Yeah, I think that's that rotoscoping effect.
Yeah,
that you see in a lot of shots.
I liked that the Dredge looked like they didn't belong in the movie in terms of the style. Like they look like they're from a different animation, which made them truly alien.
Right, and they're like pure energy. So I think since that was the desired effect, I think by that token they looked good. But yeah, it did, like they are jarring when you see them. It's like they don't look like they belong.
No, they don't. And I think I enjoyed that. Some of the other CGI got in the way when they first introduced Matt Damon and he's walking in the spacesuit and it's like clearly a CGI.
Yeah, it wasn't
character.
The best.
Well, yeah, I think that was a product of them being like, this looks amazing. CGI will never get better than this.
Yeah.
And they just didn't know any better.
And he's listening to his rockin' alternative rock from the year 2000.
Let's
music.
talk about the soundtrack.
The soundtrack. My God.
Over My Head, an original song wrote by Lit, the band Lit.
Yep.
There's an interview with them on the making of.
Of course there is.
Yeah, it's very funny because they clearly like took very small chunks of the interview out of context to make it sound as passable as possible. So it's like a dude with like a soul patch and a really long braided beard being like, I think it's a fun film. Hard cut to like a clip. Like it's stuff like that where they'd say these very neutral as pleasant as possible lines in this awkward as fuck interview with Lit. It's fantastic.
Oh, what a treat.
Yeah.
What a treat.
Jamiroquai is in the soundtrack.
Jamiroquai, Power Man 5000.
Yeah. Luscious Jackson. Mm-hmm. And then a bunch of people I never heard of. It's very weird, this soundtrack.
Yeah, I remember the two songs that they I thought they were in the trailer, but I mean I thought they were in the film itself, but they're not. The two songs they most prominently used in the trailer were Higher by Creed.
Yeah, which is not in the movie.
And We Are by Vertical Horizon. That is the speed of the soundtrack of this movie. That is 100% what the soundtrack of this movie is like.
I think I liked the soundtrack. I didn't like the music necessarily. I liked the idea of it because you don't see this very often in like an animated film.
Right, that they go fully in for a specific genre of music for an animated film is very strange.
Era.
Yeah,
like
era,
it's dated now. It's dated.
This is some TRL shit. It is so yeah.
It's a risk they took that turned out to not matter either way.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter either way.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know. It's neat. Like
it gives me even more of that heavy metal vibe.
Yeah, at first, because is the music supposed to exist within the scenes for certain scenes, like when they're having their weird lunch and the lunch is bouncing around and Jim Brewer is the cook. Oh, so 90s.
Jim Brewer, by the way, gets fucking assassinated.
Yeah, he did. In true Don Bluth fashion. Oh, he doesn't just get assassinated. He gets assassinated right after begging for his life.
Uh-huh. Well, and selling the others out.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they went down there. Yeah, he's like a true Don Bluth character.
Oh, yeah. And he explodes in green.
Yep. There are so many character deaths in this film.
Uh-huh. When he was getting chased, I was like, oh, he's dead. There's no way John Bluth is letting this little fucking grub out of this. He's going to execute Jim Brewer. No question about it.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think the music is supposed to exist within the film. So they're listening to it during that lunch scene. And then also on the Bat Planet, when John Leguizamo and Nathan Lane are staying behind on the ship, they're listening to a 311 song?
Oh, no.
I can't, but there's the music is clearly coming from the ship because we see Preed outside and the music sounds like it's coming from inside, and then we cut inside of John Leguizamo and the music is playing pretty loudly in the ship.
It doesn't make that much sense. Like Guardians of the Galaxy figured out a delightful way to add, Earth music to that story, and I like that combination of like people from Earth listening to the music that they love, but it's like it's the year 3000, and so they're just listening to songs from 1,000 years ago.
From 1,000 years ago,
for no reason.
That is a super long time.
Yeah, we can't like. There's no equivalent for us now. It is an unfathomable long amount of time ago to be listening to music.
We can't listen to music from 160 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, and I guess in the future it will change.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the issue. It's the Star Trek TNG issue where it's like they're for some reason listening to only like old composers. And every now and then referencing things in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like Earth, like civilization just stopped creating new things after the 90s in the Star Trek universe for some reason. Like, I get what they were going for. Is just they had to use contemporary music, which is silly in the context of, the movie. But I don't know. It's one of the parts I liked about this film because the biggest... I mean, I guess it's been compared a lot to anime, this film, which, especially Drew Barrymore's character, looks kind of like an anime character. And Don Bluth said he wasn't inspired by anime, but he sees the comparison in retrospect. But
Yeah, I don't make that connection immediately. I think it's just the connection is that it is so dark.
it is so dark.
It's like dark and kind of futurist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the lighting it's like literally dark. Like it's visually dark. The ships again, it's like the cruddy Star Wars ships.
Yeah, it's
Do you
garbage
think
space.
because this was originally it was developed I think in 98?
It was going to be live action.
It was going to be oh by the way, did you see who co-wrote this?
No.
Joss Whedon.
I saw he was given the project at one point.
Oh yeah, he has a writer's credit on it.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yep. That checks out. But it was originally supposed to be a live action film. Do you think it would work better as a live action film?
I don't know. It would be very expensive as a live action film.
I think it would look like garbage if made in the 2000s.
Right. Had it been made in 1999, 2000, yeah, it would look like the
It would look like
hottest
Lost
of
in
garbage.
Space.
Yeah.
It
would
wouldn't
look
look
like
good.
superheated trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it would just be the worst. The worst. So I think for when it was made, they made the best decision. I guess. I mean, had they known the animation studio was going to, go under. They spent $75 million on this film.
Oof.
Yep.
That's too much money.
Oh.
They made like 30. They did not make their money back.
No, they made less than 30.
Oh, good.
No, sorry. They made 36 worldwide, 22 in the United States. It had a 60% drop off in its second weekend.
Oof.
Yep. It's only got a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess that's fair. It's funny because you've been talking about the story. I was so struck by the visuals of this. For better or for worse, the visuals, they were very unique. It was a very beautiful film. Mm-hmm. And it had a really good set pieces, like the new Bangkok and the I don't know, the ships themselves.
The ships, the ice field, the Titan itself. Like the Titan looked really cool on the inside.
Right, and you compare this to modern kids movies like the Minions and shit. It's like, yeah, this is fucking
this is
so
way
much
better. Like,
it's fucking Don Bluth.
Yeah, it's fucking.
It's
Don
got
Bluth.
baseline quality and darkness that Don Bluth brings to anything.
For the most part, there's a baseline quality. Rockadoodle is very bad.
What's Rockadoodle?
Rockadoodle is a Don Bluth film from the 90s that is notoriously bad because I think there's scenes missing from it or something. There's like a portion of the plot that just doesn't make any sense and they don't explain it.
Sure.
Like even after after test screenings where everyone was super confused, they went back and added a narrator and it was still confusing. Like,
I mean, yeah, I think we can all agree that Don Bluth is kind of a maniac.
oh yeah.
I'm not sure how he was allowed to make the movies he made.
Because he left Disney.
Oh, yeah.
He famously left Disney.
No, I mean after leaving Disney. I don't know how he could do a movie about the slow extinction of the dinosaurs and make it for kids, or about dogs dying. Just a whole movie about dogs dying.
It's because when he first split off from Disney, it was over The Secret of NIMH. Like that, he tried to get Secret of NIMH made at Disney, and they're like, "We're not doing this. This is too dark." And he's like, "Fuck you! I'm going to make this myself." And it was a hit. And then he got backing from like Spielberg for his next several films. And so, like in the 80s, Don Bluth's movies were kicking the shit out of Disney.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why is because kids' movies. I think this is something we've forgotten. No, not actually. We haven't forgotten this. Pixar is very aware of this. Is that kids' movies can be fucking dark, and kids appreciate that.
Yeah, and they can be about things.
Yes, I watched The Land Before Time so much as a kid, and as an adult, I think like, why did anybody let me watch that?
It's a devastating film. It was also that was sort of when Don Bluth started to kind of lose his power, I guess, or like his control over some of the, because that movie was heavily re-edited.
Really?
I think by Spielberg or at Spielberg's behest, because they thought it was Too sad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole sequence where Littlefoot is just sitting and staring into a puddle and waiting to starve to death. It's
the scene
it's
where the scene where they add the old Pat Hingle dinosaur to come tell him like, well, your mother will always be with you or something like that. That scene was not originally in the movie.
Jesus, what a bleak fucking.
And there's a scene where he leaves his friends and gets to the Great Valley and then decides to go back for them. And they thought that was a little too dark.
Right.
So you'll notice there's a weird jump in The Land Before Time where it's like he's by himself when he discovers the Great Valley.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's like I'm trying to think of a good comparison. Like the Terry Gilliam of children's animation where he's just like... has these insane ideas, and some producers like, no, you can't do that, Don. That is bonkers. And he has to be kind of reeled in a little bit. But I mean, I want to see him unleashed. I want to see what nightmare he brings children.
I think we have seen him unleashed.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you've seen his films in the 80s, and like Land Before Time wasn't even really that heavily re-edited. It's like I said, it was just they added some stuff and trimmed some stuff.
Yeah, they added little bits of hope.
Yeah, to make it not so devastatingly sad, but that was the end of his relationship with Spielberg. But like in the previous movies, at least I'm pretty sure it is, the previous movies like Secret and Nim, and like
Secret and Nim is fucking. I can't watch that again.
And like American Tail,
yeah,
and All Dogs Go to Heaven. Like I think that's him. That is him unleashed.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
again, he made a whole movie about dogs dying
and going to hell. He goes to hell.
Yeah, and the secret rat gambling world of dogs, which we know they do. We all know.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing. I'm realizing now, looking at his work, like after Thumbelina, I don't think I've really seen anything until Titan AE.
You didn't see Anastasia?
Oh, I might have seen Anastasia. Is that fucked up too?
Yeah.
Yeah? They're all fucked up.
The bad guy is Zombie Rasputin, as voiced by Christopher Lloyd.
What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
The fuck, Don?
Yeah, it's crazy. That was his last... That was a big hit, though, but it was his last big hit.
Right. That makes sense.
And then they closed Fox Animation after Titan AE. Well, in the middle of Titan AE.
And he needed to call it a day. He's like the John Carpenter of kids... In the sense that, like, yeah, he made a, he went into the 2000s a little bit and then was like, you know what, I'm done.
I'm all set.
Yeah, this world is not for me.
Yep.
I can't frighten kids like I used to. Because that was the thing. Like, Pixar still makes deep films for kids, but they don't make Don Bluth.
We're not scaring them anymore.
No, we're not scaring them. We're not making them fear death.
I think that was... I mean, that was just like the best collision too between Don Bluth and 80s Spielberg specifically, because in the 80s Spielberg was in his "I'm trying to scare the shit out of children" phase.
Yeah.
So that's the best possible collaboration.
Oh, 100%.
Is that?
They're just like villains. They're just like snorting coke and laughing maniacally.
Let's scare these kids.
Yeah, fuck these kids. Yeah, getting back to Titan AE. Where would you say this ranks in terms of Don Bluth?
Of the films of his that I've seen?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen every one of his films.
Neither have I, now that I'm looking at them.
This is... I think Secret and Nim is the best.
Yes.
I think his first four are pretty hard to beat. Secret and Nim, American Tail... Although I haven't seen American Tail in a while, so I'm not sure how well that holds up.
Right.
All Dogs Go to Heaven and The Land Before Time. I think this is definitely... I don't know. This is a weird film.
I like it. Okay. I think it's my fifth favorite because, yeah, those first four, you can't really put anything before that.
And it's also with that, and I think Anastasia might have been the first one. But that could be wrong. The main character is not a child. Yeah.
I think what I also like about this is that it's so visually different for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's his only sci-fi.
Yes. Yeah.
Thing, which, by the way, he didn't want to do it.
No. He was told he had to, or else they were going to close Fox Animation, and then they fucking closed Fox Animation anyway.
Yeah. He took the script because he didn't have a choice, because all his friends would get fired, and he knew, like, this is not anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of works. The CGI works for the subject matter of doing, like, Star Wars and like a space Don Bluth adventure. Like, if you had to do any Don Bluth film with CGI, this is it, you know?
Yeah, the sci-fi one's the obvious choice.
Yeah, and it's I think that's why I took to it, is because it's so fucking different than anything Don Bluth has done, and it made me think, like, oh, I want to see more of this. I want to see more Don Bluth fucking sci-fi.
Yeah, that occupies an area, a specific type of. It's a children's family movie, I guess, because it's not entirely a children's movie because it is so dark.
Right.
But there's nothing really occupying that space right now, I don't think.
Not really.
And I wish there
guess
was.
the Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know if anything can occupy the space, though. It's that thing where Don Bluth is so unique that a Don Bluth film, it's just a Don Bluth film, you know? Like, I don't have any comparisons in my mind to his work.
Leica,
yeah, that's true.
the Leica films.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a sci-fi space Leica film.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that'd be hardcore.
Yeah, I still need to see Missing Link.
Yeah, I hear it's not what they advertised it as.
Yeah, I stayed away from it because of the way it was advertised, even though I'm like, well, it is a Leica film, and they've all been excellent.
Right. Do you think do you think Don Bluth, we just can't have something like this anymore?
I don't know, because Leica exists.
Yeah, but Leica's not doing great.
Right. They make less money with each movie they put out.
Right, and I think Missing Link, they purposefully advertised it to be like to seem like a regular old kids movie. Mm-hmm. As opposed to being whatever the hell it is. And Don Bluth, again, it's we have things like Pixar, but Don Bluth he's like grotesque. He's like violent. Mm-hmm. He's scary. And it's not necessarily in a particularly deep way. It's just harsh reality.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, except for All Dogs Go to Heaven. We know they all go to hell.
They all go straight to hell.
They have no souls.
Mm-hmm.
They have no souls.
Yes, but Charlie's murder scene in that film is pretty grim.
Oh, my fucking God. It's a mob movie.
Yeah, it's a fucking mob movie. And
what are you doing, Don Bluth?
His murder scene is like, good God. It feels like...
It's horrifying.
Yeah, and it's so like adult in how sinister and it is. Yeah. Oh man, what a crazy ass movie that is.
Yeah. Bill Pullman breaks an alien's neck.
He sure does.
He breaks an alien's. He has so many fucking twists and turns in his character. He's just like suddenly evil, breaks a fucking neck, falls sort of to his death, and then swings away, and then is just like, I better be good now. And I thought like I was being good because of convenience, and then he's just like, I'm all in, baby, and throws himself in a circuit, and it just explodes into dust.
Yeah. He's like an R-rated Han Solo.
He is, yeah. It was a fucking ride.
Yeah.
Good God, Bill Pullman.
Yeah, what are you doing, Bill Pullman?
Yeah. They all did good. Drew Barrymore did good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Damon. I don't know.
Knowing that they're in the room with each other makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, it all checks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
I think that's it. I think that's it for Titan AE.
I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to watch some Don Bluth movies now.
Yeah,
Shit.
me too. Except for, it's hard because I think that, all right, final thought on this is that I have trouble going back and watching The Land Before Time or All Dogs Go to Heaven because that triggers me emotionally because I saw it when I was a child.
They're devastating films.
Yes. This movie I could enjoy more because I was like, this didn't traumatize me at an early age.
No.
And again, but see, I say this, but I watched that movie all the time. Like, that's the thing, is I've talked to my family about this and being like, why did people let me watch Land Before Time? And they'd be like, are you kidding? That's all you ever wanted to watch. We'd go to the library and that's the movie you'd rent. So it's like, clearly I wanted this.
Yeah.
But then I grew up and I'm like, that's a chilling film. So there's something to Don Bluth, and I can never quite put my finger on how it works. Because I think it's just that kids are fascinated by things like death and destruction and the apocalypse.
Right. It's these big ideas that they understand sort of on a fundamental level, but aren't really equipped yet to grasp the totality of it. That's the second time I've said totality in this podcast episode.
That's if it was ever a podcast.
But like, they're concepts that are too big for a kid to fully grasp.
Right.
But they still understand part of it.
And they're taboo. Like, adults don't talk about it. So we liked these movies for exploring that, Yeah. Yeah. They're great films. Everybody show your kids Titan A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the world explode.
Make them watch it.
Yeah. Force them.
Hold their eyes open.
Yeah. And be like, you shut up and you listen to Power Man. You listen to them. Fucking
that's
lit.
a sode. That's a fucking sode. We
Guys,
did it.
Thanks to Nolan Matten.
Thanks, Nolan Matten, for producing this episode.
Yeah. If you're interested in, producing an episode of We Just Watched where you get to choose your own film, or checking out exclusive podcasts, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. Some of our exclusive podcasts there are Fox Mulder is a Maniac and Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. We have a bunch of tiers. We're introducing merch tiers now.
Yes.
There's one where you can get a podcast shout out and a mug. We're probably going to do shirt ones, and I don't know. We're expanding,
Yeah.
Always expanding.
We're trying new things, so check that out. We've also got a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed, where you can get some of the aforementioned merch. Like stickers, mugs, t-shirts, posters, whatever. We're always adding new stuff. So check
we're like
that out.
We're like a planet forming from an ice asteroid
We're like a planet
field.
built by a machine built by Ron Perlman.
Yep, just bulldozing it. Ron Perlman's in this movie.
Yeah, Ron
God
Perlman's the dad.
Damn it, I forgot about that.